Have you ever noticed that some logos look amazing on the billboard, but somehow loses all their magic when you see them on the phone? It's like they weren't built for the digital age we live in today. 75% of brands' interactions happen on smaller and smaller screens. Here's the thing, as screens get smaller and smaller, from laptops to tablets to smartphones to smartwatches, your logo needs to do things that some people don't think about. It needs to adapt. And that's exactly what I'm going to show you today. So in this video, we're going to dive deep into why responsive logo design is not a nice to have anymore, but it's a must. Because if your logo can't scale down to fit your profile pic or scale up to fit on a poster, you're losing credibility and you might be losing clients faster than you think. And I'm not just going to explain to you why this matters, but I'm also going to show you step by step to get this right. So by the end of this video, my goal is for you to have a clear understanding of why it's important to have a responsive logo, why is it critical for your brand, and how to create one that adapts to every platform. Alright, so let's jump right in. Have you ever sat down and really thought about how many devices we use to access information every day? We wouldn't have only laptops or smartphones or TVs. Now we have screens as small as smartwatches that could fit on your wrist. And a brand's logo needs to be adaptable to fit on all these devices. But here's the problem. I've seen a lot of logos that have been designed with one format in mind. Large scale formats like for billboards, posters, even t-shirt designs. That's why responsive logo design is no longer an option, but it's essential. Responsive logo design is essential to make sure your brand looks consistent no matter where it's seen. In fact, do you know that 70% of people interact with brands on mobile first? So if your logo cannot scale down properly, you're not just losing clarity, but you're also losing trust with your potential clients. Companies like Spotify and Nike completely understand this. That's why their logos are adaptable, scalable, and easily recognized, whether it's on the full screen or the tiny app on their phone. But there are some real world consequences if you don't have a responsive logo design. Imagine a potential client wanting to do business with you, starts Googling your name, and the first thing they see is your logo just completely squished, stretched, completely not designed for obviously mobile first. This is going to build distrust. I know if I searching for a company on my phone and I see a logo that looks kind of sketch, I probably do not want to do business with that company. Bottom line, a responsive logo keeps your brand looking strong no matter where it shows up. Here are the key elements for a responsive logo. So what exactly makes a logo responsive? Because it's more than just simply resizing it. A truly responsive logo is designed as a system. You have your primary logo. There's used for large scale formats, billboards, t-shirts, posters. Then you have a smaller one they use for smaller applications, and sometimes even an icon if you want to use it for an app, or even smaller to use it on a website for the favicon. So let's break down 3 critical elements for responsive logo. Number 1, simplicity is king. If a logo is too detailed, it won't translate well for smaller applications. If you think about the Airbnb logo, you can see that they use the bellows symbol for their icon for their app, while their full lockup is used for larger formats. Okay, number 2, scalability. You want to make sure your logos are scalable. So no matter what size your logo is, it won't be losing quality, it won't be losing clarity, and it's still legible. Number 3, versatility. Your logo needs to work great at any context, whether that's color, black and white, dark and light backgrounds, horizontal layout and a vertical layout. It needs to work. Think of responsive logos as a swift army knife. You're designing for flexibility so your brand can be recognized anywhere, no matter the medium or device. Here are some challenges you might face if your logo is not responsive. All right, let's face it. Designing for a non-responsive logo isn't fun. It's a total nightmare. They might look great in one place, but they just fall apart in others. I've seen logos with very unique patterns and very tiny fonts. It looks very elegant, but it's just a complete mess when you have to downscale that logo. It becomes a blurry nightmare, terrible for a Instagram profile pic and any other smaller applications. And don't get me started with gradients. I remember back in the early 2000s, every logo that was coming out had these gradients, these abstract icons, and it had like reflections and all these things, and that was a nightmare to work with. It was a nightmare because It was difficult into keeping a consistency for your brand across multiple devices. And here's the reality. When your logo can adapt for all these devices, it creates a disjointed experience for your audience, because it is a frustrating experience when you come across a logo that's just been stretched and squished. It feels unprofessional, it feels careless, it just feels that the person who owns this brand just don't care about it. And then if you don't care about your brand, how your brand looks and feels, and why should I even bother wanting to do business with you? You want your logo to say, this brand got it together, not this brand is falling apart, doesn't know what the heck it's doing. All right, so this is my process. This is how I start simplifying my logo for small scales. So this is a logo I made a few years back. It's a sport fishing company, so it's a full scale lockup logo. So what I do, I say, okay, what's from this logo I could cut out that's not important, like important information, but just filler. So the Baja California Sur and this whole area right here, I could clearly remove, and I could still identify the logo, the name, that's Queso Sports Fishing. So here it is. It's a smaller scale version of the logo, which has the name and then what it does is Queso Sports Fishing. Now you're gonna want to make an even smaller logo than that for even smaller scale applications. So that would be just the name Quesos. That would be the original logo. And you're gonna want also a smaller scale version, even smaller, like for an app or for a pen or a Vivicon. So I have just a Q to represent the smaller scale for the logo. I have another one over here. This is you can see this is a more complex logo, almost borderline illustration. But even with a logo this complicated, you can still make a good responsive logo design. So we had full lockup over here of the mascot logo, and we had another round version with just the head and the name Planet Baja. So I mean, you could consider this a vertical lockup, and then we have over here a horizontal lockup, and we got another one that we could just use the flag, so it could be really used for a really good design element. And for the smaller scale, we have just the planet. And if it's necessary, if in this case there wasn't a smaller version, they weren't going to use this logo for any smaller application. But if they were to want to use this logo for more smaller application, I would probably go in here and probably erase all these lines, because if you scale it down even more, you won't be able to see those lines, or even possibly just erase the whole planet, just leave the sunglasses. That's like for the really small scale applications. Another logo that I have done here, that again, you have a very complex, large lockup, a large logo for large applications, and different versions for depending on where the logo is going to be seen. And in this case, the smaller scale is just the head. Again, if this product wasn't necessary, we needed a smaller scale logo, but in this case, I probably might use this hair. I might use this, just delete all of this to keep the hair for the smallest lockup. But in this case, it wasn't necessary. So again, here is another logo from large applications all the way down to the smallest application. All right, so here's some common mistakes you might want to avoid when trying to make a logo responsive. Overcomplicating the design. Logos with too many detail or text becomes illegible in small sizes. Think about Apple. It's a clean design, it's iconic, it's recognizable anywhere you see it, any size, any scale. A logo might look great on a white background, but disappears on a dark one. Test your logos. Test in every scenario. Avoid surprises and avoid having back and forth with your client. So just test and retest. Relying on color alone. Your logo should work in black and white and in color. Grading is okay, just make sure you don't use too many or don't overcomplicate it with the gradients. Don't do drop shadows. Just please don't. They can really complicate things. And also make sure your logo has a monochromatic version. Avoiding this mistake will save you countless time on revisions and keeps your brand looking fresh. Alright, so there you have it. You have everything you need to create a responsive logo that could work in any application. Remember that the logo is one of the important elements of a brand, and because it's that important, it needs to be adaptable, scalable, or versatile. That way, it's professional no matter where people see it. All right, so what's the first test you go to apply to your current design project? Let me know in the comments below, and hit the like button and subscribe if you want to help me grow this channel where this is what we do. We do logo design, graphic design, tech, and who knows what other thing might end up doing here and what other interests I might have. All right, then see you in the next one. See ya.